Hey guys, what's going on? This is Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Today I thought I'd do something a little bit different here. Let me know what you think of this video idea, and I will replicate it with other rarities of champions. I kind of want to just bring you guys through who I currently have on my account, because I've actually never done this. I've never actually shared every single champion of one specific rarity here with you guys. So A, you know who I have and kind of my thoughts on all these champions, kind of on a surface level, not an in-depth champion guide. And then B, you guys can recommend who you want me to see tested out, who you want me to upgrade, because the legendaries, which we're going to focus on today, I really only have about half of my legendaries actually leveled up and upgraded and maxed out and whatnot. So we're going to focus on legendary champions today. I will give you my opinion on all the guys and gals that I have. But first, guys, I wanted you to, enjoy this moment with me as I max out my very first Great Hall tree category here, right behind my head. It is the accuracy. So my void accuracy will be maxed out. I have 1,000 of these trophy things. Are they called trophies? Medals, my bad. 1,000 medals. And here it goes. Boom, done. There it goes. So I have my first 10 out of 10 there. You guys can see. Let me. There we go. So I get plus 80 accuracy on my voids. That's awesome. Only problem is I'm actually using almost an all magic team right now inside the arena. So next order of business, we'll be farming up 1,900 medals so I can max out my accuracy there. Then we'll probably do spirit. Then we'll probably do force, and then we'll move on to resist, because I'm most interested right now in the game in arena. So I want to get my resist up as my secondary focus. Anyway, let's go into my legendaries, guys. So starting with, let me just switch my screens here. Apologies. So, Anithwi Blood Twin. So, Anithwi Blood Twin is not a great champion. We're going to take a look at all their reviews as well. His reviews are actually pretty good. The problem is, so Ice Golem's Peak is his best review here. We'll take a look at his kit too. But I actually don't use him in any of my main teams. I have him leveled up right now. I actually did it last night just because this is my Demon Spawn is my best faction crypt, so I needed him there, and now he's actually decked out pretty well with I have a lifesteal and a crit damage set on him right now. So let's take a look at his kit. I'm not going to do a full champion guide again, but we'll just quickly go over all of their abilities, all these legendaries, and I'll talk about, how effective they can be. By the way, Anithwi Blood Twin, just because I don't use him doesn't mean he's not good. I know a lot of people at top tier, like a top 100 arena, actually use him in the arena, so it's not to say he can't be good. I just don't have a comp that really suits him and complements him right now. So attacks one enemy, decreases the target's max HP by 30% of the damage inflicted. Not that big of a deal. But No Mercy is attacks one enemy 3 times. Damage increases equal to the percentage of HP the target has lost. That's a pretty good skill. And then his A3 is attacks all enemies. 80% chance of placing a 10% leech debuff for 2 turns. That can be booked up to 100% and booked down to 3 turns. So a 100% leech debuff for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown is actually really, really good. He's a really unique and interesting champion. He also has his Final Doom passive. Heals his champion by 30% of their max HP each time they kill an enemy. So that's pretty cool as well on him. Enemies killed cannot be revived, which is great as well. And then his aura is ally attack in all battles by 33%. So he's definitely a unique, he's really rare being a void legendary champion. So he's difficult to pull. I was hoping for much more when I pulled him. I was super excited, but either way, maybe I'll try him out in like Ice Golem's Peak, where he has the highest score here. So let's go ahead and move on here. So you guys who saw my other, I have 3 legendary voids, so got really lucky here. But Crew Traxa is the one I most recently pulled in actually one of my shard opening videos, and a lot of you guys in the comments were like, you have to play her. She is used in a lot of high-end arena compositions because of her ignore defense. Check out her kit here, guys. It's actually pretty solid. Attacks one enemy 4 times, ignores 50% of enemy defense. Really really, really solid. And then the A2 is awesome. Attacks one enemy, 50% chance of placing a 25% weaken debuff, can be booked up to 75% chance on that. And then a 75% chance of removing 2 random buffs from the target, and then grants an extra turn. So I'm starting out on this A2 on her, especially against a champion from the other team who's a negative affinity matchup, usually Force, and then I get an extra turn. And if they have buffs, I'm removing them in the process and maybe even landing a weaken. So really, really strong. And then Rite of Birth is not used that much, only if she's one-shotted, which is very, very rare. Places a Revive on Death buff on this champion for 2 turns at the beginning of each round, and places a Revive on Death buff on this champion for 1 turn when this champion kills an enemy. So again, it's not as useful as you think. I think I probably played about 200 arena battles with her, and I think she's only been revived 1 time. So her aura is an ally attack in all battles, 24%. Really, it's all about that, just that synergy between the A1 and the A2 with the ignoring defense on the A1. Hits 1 enemy 4 times, does a lot of damage. So she's really good. I actually use her in one of my main arena teams right now. Also, Fire Knight, obviously, on the A1, hitting 4 times, ignoring defense is really solid in Fire Knight. However, you know, it's a matter of keeping her alive that long. Moving up, Turvold was when I first, I think maybe my 3rd overall legendary. So really lucky to pull him. He's a beast. He has amazing reviews. Look at a couple 5s, Void Keep 5, Force Keep 5, all the keeps. Basically, he's insane. He does a ton of damage. He also has an ignore defense on him. He's one of the heaviest hitters inside the game with his Judgment ability. So on his A1, he can put a weaken debuff on the enemy. On his A2, this is a grant an extra turn self-buffing. And the reason, so his A2 is awesome, right? 50% increased attack on himself, 30% increased crit rate on himself, and increased speed on him for 2 turns as well, then grants an extra turn. So essentially you have all those buffs for an extra turn because this takes up a turn. The problem is you can't use him in arena where he'd be really nasty because on his Juggernaut here, check it out. Attacks 1 enemy 2 times. Damage increases according to the number of buffs on this champion, which if you're using your A2 first, you're always getting those extra buffs. And then damage increases according to, if the target is killed, resets the cooldown of this skill. So really cool, he can get the reset cooldown if the target is killed. Now the problem is even though his kit is absolutely insane, he hits like a truck, he can crit for over 300k damage, even against Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss. That's how strong he is, guys. Problem is he is absolutely, you can't use him right now in the Torment meta in the arena because this A2, it's taking up a turn, then he gets frozen, and then you don't even get the benefit of the buffs, right? So the Torment is really just, he's ruining Turvold and really a lot of champions that have this extra turn built in, kind of like, I don't know, Aethel has one of these as well. It really kind of sucks in that regard, but otherwise he's a beast. I use him in pretty much any single dungeon I want to. Can even use him against spiders, even though he has no AoE attacks. He's just a beast. He does so much damage to the spider, right? He does so much damage to the dragon. I'm not saying he's ideal, by the way, in spiders, but you can use him almost anywhere just because of how hard he hits. So there it goes, guys. And I did say it was an ignore defense on this, but there is no ignore defense, so I take that back. My bad on that. I thought there was a small ignore defense, but that remains correct. But I do have the ignore defense on the Cruel. You know what it is? Every time I play him, I see the ignore defense on the screen, and it's because of the Cruel sets that I have on him, not because of his innate ability. So my bad on that. Bad L, obviously, not a ton to say about Bad L. You guys are probably familiar with Bad L, but he's an ultimate support champion. He's beast. He can also put out a lot of damage. Clan Boss, he is a great carry in Clan Boss. He's a great carry in any dungeon, really. I don't use him in arena. I don't find him incredibly good in the arena. Serviceable, but not great. He has that cleanse, but there's better champions out there to do it. So his Malice on his A, well, let's cover his A1 first. Attacks all enemies, heals this champion and all allies by 25%, or 20% of the damage inflicted. The problem is it's good and all, but he doesn't put out enough damage for that to be like a Vrask type ability, right? On the Malice, removes all debuffs from all allies, places 2 15% continuous heal buffs on all allies, and places 2 5% poison debuffs on all enemies for 2 turns. It's an insane ability. Can be booked down to 3 turns, one of the best abilities in the game. And then his passive is all allies inflict 15% more damage against targets under poison debuffs. That's what makes him so, another reason, along with his A2, that makes him so good in Clan Boss. So Bad L is a beast. His aura is plus 25% onto the crit rate in all battles, which is nice because I can build my Turbolt to have like a 75% crit rate, or anybody, and pair him with Bad L, and then that team is at 100% crit rate because of that aura if I want it. It's not the best aura in the world, but it can make up for, if you don't have a better aura to use, you can kind of work with it. Prince Kymar he's tied for my favorite legendary champion that I have. I think he's properly rated. Bad L's ratings, real quick, speaking of those, are amazing across the board, right? 4.9s, 4.8s, basically everywhere. So Kymar, his ratings are the same, 4.9s, 4.8s, 4.4 on Clan Boss. He's not a Clan Boss champion, but he's good in almost every dungeon, good in Spider's Den as well. He's just good across the board. And it's really, when we talk about Kymar, we talk about his Seal of Magic, but I use him in the arena as well. He's in every single one of my arena teams. He is my aura champion, so he has that speed aura, the pretty good speed aura, second best in the game at 30%. For the arena, so he can't go anywhere. He's my best speed aura, and all my teams right now are nukers or built on speed. I don't have a strong defensive or resist team, so that's why he is there every single time, no matter what, because of that aura. And the Seal of Magic and the A2, the Abyssal Gaze, is really good. I think his A2 is really underrated, but let's talk about the A3, which makes him famous in the game. Resets all the cooldowns of all ally skills. Boom. And if that's not enough, fills the turn meter of all allies except this champion by 20%. So not only does he have that 20% turn meter improvement, which is solid on a 5-turn cooldown when booked, but he resets the cooldown of all allies' skills. I don't need to tell you how powerful that is, right? There's a few other versions of this in the game, but none this powerful that I'm aware of, at least. It's insane, right? So essentially, in Spiders, I can pair him with a Royal Guard or a couple Cold Hearts, whatever, and then pop the Seal of Magic on manual, and then boom, all the abilities are there again. It's insane. Heartseeker, boom, takedown, boom, again. They can do them again and again because he will reset the cooldown of all of their abilities. It's awesome. The problem is when you put him on auto, he'll always do the Seal of Magic as the very first move. Man, I hate that, especially in the arena, because I never want to use it the first move. For the way my team is set up, I'm already going to be going next anyway, so I don't need that turn meter buff as well. So I always want to be doing his A2. His A2 is great. Attacks all enemies, removes all buffs, places a sleep debuff for 1 turn. So the sleep debuff, this can be booked down to 3 turns as well, right? So the sleep debuff is not the best. It's not stun, right? But it is a 100% sleep debuff, providing your accuracy is high enough, which is amazing. But really, he removes all buffs as well. So I love the removal of the buffs. I don't really have another champion except for Cerise who does this right now on my arena kind of possible champion teams. So I don't want to talk here all day about Kymar, but suffice it to say, he is insane. By the way, we're covering the champions, obviously, who I actually have maxed out first. Then we'll get into the ones that I don't know as much about after. And if you guys want to see an individual guide on any of these champions, happy to do so. I actually have one on Bigan, but Bigan's ability, well, Kymar's A1 also places a 5% poison on an AoE, as if that was not enough. And his remove all buffs, the buffs are removed before he does his damage. So even if there's a shield up, a counterattack, whatever, all the buffs are removed, then he places his damage. Against a Skull Crown, removes that unkillable, then kills her. It's solid, right? Skull Crowns, he's amazing against in the arena. Okay, back to Bigan. Bigan, I've already done a guide on. He's amazing as well. He's not a clan boss champion, but everywhere else, he's awesome. I use him in the arena because he will not allow me to substitute anybody in for him. He's that good. He puts out so much damage, and he has unique skills. AoEs on every single one of his attacks. AoE on the A1 attacks enemies 1 time, and the first attack is critical. It's always a critical, so it's an AoE. AoE on everybody, and then an extra attack on 1 target. I really rarely use his A1 because I have him with Kymar, so he gets to use his A2 and his A3 2 times, right? So I rarely get to the point in a match where I'm even using his A1, but even in dungeon farming and campaign farming, he's still a go-to in all my comps. I use him in dragons. I use him in, well, actually I don't use him at dragons. I take that back. But I can use him in anywhere that I'm having problems with the waves. So I could use him in dragons. I could use him in Ice Golem. I use him in campaigns every single time. He's a great campaign, probably one of the better, if not the best, legendary campaign farmers in the game. Just insane. Speed farming. So forward charge on the A2. Attacks all enemies. 30% chance of placing a stun. That can be buffed up to, what, a 50% chance of stun for 1 turn. Also a 50% chance of placing a decreased accuracy debuff for 2 turns. So really solid to get that decreased accuracy and the potential of a stun on that A2. He will auto to the A2 when you have him on auto attack. I kind of prefer he went with the Molten Slag oftentimes, but, you know, I guess they make you go with the stun, which is also an insane ability. Forward charge hits a little bit harder than his A3, but his A3 attacks 2 times. So overall, you're usually getting more damage out of the A3. The Molten Slag attacks all enemies 2 times, decreases the turn meter by 25%, has a 30% chance of placing a decreased speed debuff for 2 turns, excuse me, and that can be booked down to 5. So insane. He's a beast. Bigan's amazing. Okay, so Ghostborn is a great champion who I don't use a lot. I'm sure you guys have champions like this, champions who are really, really solid, but you have better options, I guess. If you guys disagree with me, if you could find a way to fit him in one of my teams, let me know. But I think that Cerise is oftentimes a little bit better than Ghostborn for my uses. But anyway, let's get into his kit here. Look at his reviews first. Arena offense 4.8, and then everywhere else is 4.5 or higher, except for Fire Knight, Castle, and Magic Keep, where he's a negative affinity. Energy Bolt on the A1, it has a 50% chance, but can be booked all the way up to a 100% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense. That's great. Petrify attacks all enemies AoE, 75% chance can be booked up to a 100% chance of placing a 100% heal reduction debuff for 2 turns. Great against Ice Golem or anybody who's doing big heals. Not so great against Clan Boss. On the A3, this is his money ability, right? Ancestral Spirits attacks all enemies, 75% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. This debuff cannot be resisted. So that can be booked up to a 100% chance. So he's placing a decreased defense debuff, and there's nothing you can do about it, essentially, right? So it cannot be resisted. The cool thing about that is, right, and as if that's not enough, he's attacking all the enemies. It's an AoE, it's a debuffer, and it's a buffer. Place a 50% increase attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. That's an insane ability. This is an insane ability. I have to, every time I read it, I'm like, wow, it does all that, huh? And the damage, too. The problem is, well, there's no problem there. It's just insane. The benefit to this is the debuff cannot be resisted, allows you to build him in a way where you don't have to focus on accuracy, because that debuff cannot be resisted no matter the resist. So you can build him with very low accuracy, and of course, it's going to affect the heal reduction and the decreased defense on the A1 and the A2, but you're always going to be starting with your A3 anyway. That's how I have him built here. You can see his total stats. His accuracy was only a 54, right? But then you can see that gives me the luxury of focusing more on his damage, the crit rate, the crit damage, getting his attack, getting his defense up, getting his HP formidable with a lot of speed, okay? Because I have him for maybe an arena build right now. So I really like the build. Hell Hades was on the channel and he looked at my Ghostborn too and he said, yeah, this is the build that you want on a Ghostborn. So really solid champ. But the problem is when I go back to like my arena team, just to kind of give you a picture of who I'm using right now, I'm running either Krutraxa or Nethril in one spot, right? Then I'm running Bigan because his AoE is just insane with the stun, with the turn meter reduction. And then I'm running Kymar for the speed aura, I have to. And then I'm running Seeker to make sure I go first. Seeker on an almost 300 speed I have him right now. So I'm always going first, and he has that 30% turn meter boost for all allies. So that's the comp. I'm having trouble justifying slotting in anybody else without kind of ruining what I have going there, right? So I don't know. If you have any ideas, let me know. Now we get to, I said that Kymar was my second favorite champion, legendary champion. My favorite that I own is Nethril. Nethril's insane. I need to re-gear him. The problem is right now I have him built with so much accuracy. Okay, I mean, you've seen higher, let's be real. But the fact that the rest of his stats are still really solid and his accuracy is that high, I really love it. And my Spirit Great Hall is not built up that much in accuracy. It's the least that I have. So 256 accuracy ensures me in my level of arena right now that I am not platinum right now, that I'm always going to, well, actually, let's see where I am in the arena real quick. I am, yeah, so you guys can see I still, this is kind of where I linger, right? I mean, right now I'm kind of farming, but I'm never like top 200. I want to be there someday, but right now I have no problem with 250 accuracy on my Nethril. So getting back to Nethril, why do I love him so much? Well, I use him in Clan Boss, I use him in Arena. Clan Boss because he's one of the most consistent, one of the best poisoners inside the game on his A1. His A1 is hitting one enemy 3 times, 30% chance of placing a 5% poison, and that can be booked up to 50% chance. So 50% chance of placing that poison every single time on the A1. And the thing is aside from just that, so against Clan Boss, you're just spamming A1s. You're not even using his A2 or his A3. But he is so underrated in my opinion in the arena. Let's see what his rating is. Arena offense 4.8. Okay, maybe he's not underrated, but he's really good. So A2 and his A3. His A3 is my favorite, but his A2 is insane too. Ghastly Horrors on the A2. Attacks all enemies, AoE. 50% chance of placing a stun debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. That can actually be booked up to 75% on an AoE stun. That's really, really solid. Places a 30% decrease speed debuff for 2 turns if the target is not under that stun. So you get as a secondary prize, a consolary prize, you get the decreased speed. And then that can be on a 4-turn when booked. So just a really good AoE attack with a 75% chance stun on the AoE is solid. Bat Swarm. This is what it's all about. Attacks all enemies, decreases the turn meter by 75%. That's why I want his accuracy high along with the A2. But this is just such a solid. Bat Swarm is such a solid ability. Doesn't put out that much damage. He's not a huge damage dealer, but that's why I pair him with a big damage dealer on my team. But that turn meter reduction by 75% when you have his accuracy high and he's landing that, it essentially just if I can get to my Nethril in arena, I'm winning, you know, because the opponents never have a chance to even go because of that AoE 75% turn meter reduction. So that's why I love him so much, man. I just love his kit. I love what he does, puts out decent damage. Nethril, big fan, my favorite legendary. All right, so how about the legendaries I don't use a ton? If you guys want to see me use one of these legendaries or you have any ideas, let me know. I'm happy to try them out, happy to do a guide. I have not done a guide on any of these following legendaries yet on the channel. So Trunda Gilt Mallet is a dwarf champion. She has really high ratings, a 5 in arena offense, 4.9 arena defense, just campaign, Spider's Den. She has insane review scores here. What about her kit? I don't have her 6-starred yet. I need to just farm up the last level of ascension. So this is what makes her so good, right? Well, not the A1, but A1 solid. Attacks one enemy 2 times, 50% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn after the 2nd hit, okay? Cloak of Ages on the A2. Attacks 1 enemy, then attacks all other enemies with a 2nd hit, dealing 60% of the damage inflicted from the 1st hit. So I like Bigan's A1 better than this A2. Because he's always critting, so he's always getting that 100% 2nd hit down, whereas this only does 60% of the damage, but still a really nice ability. But this is what she's known for, right? Forge Rhythm. Attacks all enemies. 70% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn. Places an HP burn debuff for 2 turns on enemies under stun debuffs. Places an extra hit on enemies not under stun debuffs. So that's insane. AoE HP burn on the A3 with a 70% chance to land a stun. That's great in the arena, and her passive is really unique and really cool. Champion's resistance increases by 10. For each stun debuff this champion places on enemies, stacks each round in a battle up to 100. That's really solid. And then this champion's speed is increased by 5 for each enemy currently under HP burn debuff. and only counts active HP burn debuffs, stacks up to 15. So this passive makes her really good in spiders. Think about it. All those spiders with the HP burn on them gives her an insane speed increase as well. She can kind of just chain her skills together and be an absolute juggernaut in spiders. So I really want to, I just need to get her to 5th Ascension, honestly, and then maybe some better gear on her, or more suitable gear, because right now I just have a random Avenging set because I wasn't using it because Avenging's not that good. But anyway, that's Trunda. She's really, really good, but I don't use her right now. Next up is, make sure I don't miss anybody here, it's going to be Mortu Macabre. So Mortu Macabre, I'm really just going to, this video is going to be pretty long, so I'm going to kind of go a little bit faster here on these champions. I probably should have spent more time on these champions than the ones I already have maxed out, but either way. So the A1, his kit does not look impressive at first glance, but he's also used on high-end end-game arena, just like Mountain King, which we're going to discuss in a second here. Attacks one enemy, 60% chance of placing 100% heal reduction debuff for 2 turns. It's a niche ability, but not bad. A2, this is where he's really kind of cool, right? So attacks all enemies for 2 times, places a block buffs debuff for 2 turns on targets under heal reduction. Each hit has a 50% chance of placing a block debuffs for 2 turns against targets not under heal reduction. So essentially getting that block buffs on there. Did I say debuffs? Block buffs on your champions. Okay, did I say this? That's where it gets really cool? I really meant the passive leading into peril. It's all about peril for Mortu Macabre. 10% chance of unlocking a secret skill peril for 1 turn. This happens every single turn, okay? Every turn you have a 10% chance of unlocking peril. Also, 20% chance to fill this champion's turn meter by 25% when attacked. So peril, this is a cool ability, man. Can basically one-shot anybody and blocks revive, right? Attacks 1 enemy 2 times or 2-shot anybody. Will ignore shield, will ignore block damage, and will ignore all defense. Enemies killed in this way cannot be revived. So if you can unlock that peril in high-end endgame arena, build in with really high defense, you're looking pretty, or really high HP rather, you're looking really good, okay? So that is what makes Mortu Macabre cool. I've never used him because I don't have him built out. Next up is Brakus the Shifter. So Brakus, I was really excited when I get him. He has a really good affinity in Force. Check it out. In Fire, I almost want to build him just for Fire Knights, but I've seen him hit like an absolute truck in Arena as well against me. Ouch. Attacks 1 enemy, heals this champion by 50% of damage inflicted, whatever. Here it is. Attacks 1 enemy 6 times, and he hits hard on this, guys. First hit has a 100% chance when booked of placing a 25% weaken debuff for 3 turns. Heals this champion by 25% of the damage inflicted. It's almost like he has a walking lifesteal on him in his skills. Heals this champion by 50% of the damage inflicted instead if the target is under fear or true fear. How do we get that on? Well, welcome to his A3, another insane ability on him. Places a 50% increased attack buff on all allies for 3 turns, then attacks 1 enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 50% chance of placing a true fear debuff for 1 turn, 50% chance of placing a fear debuff on 2 random enemies for 1 turn if the true fear debuff is placed. So insane kind of chain fear / true fear ability built into the A3. If you guys would like to see me build him out, Brakus the Shifter, let me know. You can see he has a passive and an active effect on Beast Mode. 7 turn can be booked down to 5 turns. Damage increases by 40% when this champion HP drops below 40%. And revives this champion with 20% HP when killed, immediately grants an extra turn. So hard to get rid of as well. Really cool champ. Mountain King. He is the ultimate. If you missed the Hell Hades video as well, he was the one champion that I have that he does and that he said he's really jealous of. Mountain King is Hell Hades' favorite legendary champ in the game. So, or maybe it was his favorite legendary champ that he doesn't have. So Mountain King I have not built up yet as well, but he'd be pretty cool in tandem with Crew Traxa, I think, because they both ignore defense. Anyway, his A1 attacks 1 enemy based on HP, which scales better than the attack. His A2 is attacks 1 enemy, ignores 50% of the target's defense. Just hits incredibly hard. Talking like 50, 60, whatever, plus K on these attacks. And then on his A3, attacks one enemy, ignores shield and block damage buffs. So really good against those annoying block damage buffs, and just really solid champ overall. Just, you know, he's really basic. He's a heavy hitter. He's a hard hitter, and that's it, right? Increases the champion's attack by 50%, excuse me, each time this champion kills an enemy. Stacks up to 100%. Resets each round. So pretty cool, right? Let's go ahead and go to Hakorn Smashlord. This is another champion that is a really unique one that I really want to build out, but I only have so many resources and so much time, right? But let me know what you guys think. By the way, I forgot to show you guys their reviews real quick. Fire Knight, obviously, for Brakus, hitting 7 times on his A2. Arena Offense, 4.9 as well. And then Clan Boss, not too bad. And yeah, you can see the pretty good scores for Brakus. Really good scores for Brakus. And then next we have Mountain King's scores are basically Arena Offense 4.4. Everywhere else, not too, like, really low scores on him. But again, he is an end game champion, not really a mid or, and he's not going to, you know, shine really anywhere else. So Hakorn here, you can see Arena Offense 4.7, Arena Defense, Dragon Slayer, looks to be very versatile as well. Clan Boss 4.2, Fire Knight 3.8 being outliers. But check out his kit, guys. A1 attacks one enemy, has a 40% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn. Not too bad on an A1 with the stun. Is there a, yeah, that can actually be booked up to a 55% chance. So this is the cool thing about him, right? His A2 is ultimate kind of support, a great heal and debuffer, and then his A3 deals a ton of damage as well on AoE. So his A2 is, when ascended, removes all debuffs from all allies, then heals all allies by 15%. Now that can be booked up another 25% to 40%. If you book him out, right? So heals all allies by 15% of this champion's HP. Heals each ally by an extra 10% of this champion's max HP for each debuff removed from them, and places a block debuffs buff on all allies for 2 turns. Really, really solid ability, like an ultimate heal ability. Problem is, in the arena, a lot of times your champions are just dying, right? They're just going to be nuked to death, and you don't have time for him to get in there, remove all debuffs, heal everybody up. It's almost like you're using this ability. At least I haven't used him, to be clear, but that's what I find the drawback. It's on paper it sounds awesome, and in dungeons it's awesome, but in the arena, am I really going to lead with the A2? I don't think so. I don't want to heal. I don't want to waste my heal, and they have no debuffs on us anyway. It's almost like he would have to go last, I guess. You would build him with the slowest speed, right, to make sure you're getting off that A2 at the appropriate time. Then Blood Offering is really cool too. You're going to build him with a ton of HP. All of his damage is based on HP. Then we go to sacrifices HP equal to 50% of this champion's max HP. Then attacks all enemies. Damage inflicted is equal to 50% of this champion's max HP. This attack is always a normal hit, so it cannot crit, so I'm not building him with any crit rate. So that gives me the unintended luxury of being able to put like HP gauntlets on him and not worrying about crit rate and crit damage necessarily, right? The HP sacrifice will happen even if it kills this champion. So you basically want to be using this when he has a lot of HP left. It's interesting. What do you guys think about Hakorn Smashlord? Is he worth maxing out? Does he sound cool on paper, but in actuality, it's just like, okay, he's good, but not insane? Let me know what you think of him. And then I'm really excited, last but not least, because these are just duplicates of Ghostborn and Mortu, but I'm really excited to build out Shamrock after he gets buffed. Right now, he is the worst champion in the game, or the worst legendary champion, especially in terms of reviews. You can see 2s across the board. His kit actually doesn't look that bad when you look at it, but he puts out no damage. He's just not good. He's worse than almost, I don't want to say every epic, but a lot of epics. But a big buff coming in the next patch, so I'm excited to see what it is, and I will, as long as the buff is substantial, I will build him out and try him out. So Shamrock attacks one enemy 2 times, has a 60% chance of removing 1 random buff from the target. Whoop-de-dooped, right? You can see why he sucks. So Lucky Charms is actually kind of a cool ability, though. It's like an ultimate buffer. 60% chance, places a 60% increased defense buff on allies for 2 turns. then has a 50% chance of placing a 30% increased crit rate buff on all allies for 2 turns. Meh, not exciting. 25% chance of placing a 15% continuous heal buff on all allies for 2 turns if the increased crit rate buff is placed, which it's only a 30% chance that buff is placed, and then has a 5% chance of placing a block debuffs buff on all allies for 2 turns if the continuous heal buff is placed. So basically, we're rarely, if ever, placing a lot of these buffs. It's all about the increased defense, and then the rest, like, you know, you'll get it randomly once in a great while. Jeez. I almost think, call me crazy, tell me if you think it'd be too OP, but I almost think that he should get rid of like continuous heal, and then just make everything else, I don't know, like 100% or something, right? Would he be that OP as a legendary if that's like his main, if he is just an ultimate buffer type champion? Let me know. What do you think? What do you think the buff is going to be? And then his A3 is just garbage. Just garbage. Plays a 30% decreased speed debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. Decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 15%. Has a 10% chance of decreasing the turn meter of all enemies by a further 15% chance. So it's not great, right? It's just not great. Decreased speed, okay, whatever. That's like a secondary ability of most champions, most like random champions, right? And then after they're doing a ton of damage, this ability does no damage. It can be booked down to a 4-turn cooldown. And then decreases turn meter by 15% with a 10% chance of decreasing it by what? By 30%? Wow, who cares, man? We just looked at Nethril, another legendary, who's 75% chance on an AoE while dealing damage on Bat Swarm. Shamrock is really bad, so I'm really excited to see what they do with him, guys. This has been a long video. Let me know what you think about it. Which champion do you think out of these, especially out of like, should I focus on, I don't know, Mountain King, Brakus, or Hackorn? Those are the guys that I'm really kind of considering, or Mortu, or Shamrock, I guess. Like out of all these characters, Trunda, like, who would you rather see me do a guide on if you'd want me to do a guide on any of those 6 legendary champions? And guys, I'll continue this if you want to see more of these type of champion reviews. I can go over not all of my epics, but all of like maybe my maxed epics. And again, if you want to see a guide on any of those in that video, or if you want to see that video, let me know. So now I'm just rambling, guys. I'm going to end the video here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, be sure to subscribe. I really appreciate it, guys. And as always, take care, guys.